What's going on, everyone? Welcome in here to the Bettor Sports Betting Show on Bettor Sports Network and Fantasy Alarm, Twitter, YouTube, the BSN app, wherever you're watching. We're glad you joined us today. I got James Grande with me today on this Thursday, and we got no live baseball yet to talk about tonight. So that means we're doing some more futures odds and picks for the upcoming seasons. This week we've done baseball, MLB rest of the season. We did some NFL futures yesterday. And today, since I got Grande, we're doing some NBA. And we got a couple of guests on for today. But James, how you doing, man? Thanks for joining me today.
Of course, happy Thursday, Servo. Our weekly tradition, Thursday streams here at Better Sports Betting. We were just talking about it before we went live. Like, this has been an exciting week of basketball, which is weird to say because we're in the beginning half of July, and that's not
Yeah.
typically what you talk about. But like, I have watched more summer league than I've watched of the All-Star game, and that I watched of the home run derby. And I don't know if that's a bad fan take, but it's the NBA has been fun this summer, and obviously for good reason. Like, Britney Spears has been involved in one way or another. So uh, you know, happy Thursday, happy Summer League Day again here as the only show in town. So I'm sure it's going to get some traction. But happy to be here as always, Servo.
Yeah, you mentioned Summer League. That I've been tuning into it as well, and I know up on FantasyAlarm.com right now, there's a free NBA DFS Summer League playbook by yourself. So everyone, go check that out if you want to get some lineups in and have something riding tonight.
Right.
We were talking about before we went live here just how because of the lack of live sports, these NBA Summer Leagues games are not bad to get some DFS or betting picks in
Right.
just to get some action going. And listen, these guys are playing hard. Like these are guys
Yes.
that are playing legit for jobs for the NBA
Yep.
season. Like I got actually right now I got the Sixers Hawks Summer League game on a screen right now. And I know just like as a Philly fan, you guys got guys like Jaden Springer who's legit trying to
Right.
make the rotation for the Sixers this year, and he's playing his heart out. He's a beast for the Sixers in the Summer League. But all over the rosters, you got guys that are actually playing hard.
Yep.
Unlike the All Star game, it was it's competitive, low scoring. Obviously, the pitching dominated that one, but it's not like the guys without the stakes taken away from the game. There's not much they're playing for. So, but Summer League, they're playing for jobs. So this is legit. But yeah, what any big takeaways? By the way, on today's show, we will have some more futures, NBA futures talk, because we're bringing on Adam Ronis later today to get his take on some of the big free agency and trade news that we've had. Damian Lillard still out there. We'll see where he ends up. Bradley Beal to the Suns has maybe shifted some expectations and odds for the Phoenix Suns this season. James Harden possibly staying in Philadelphia now. Other moves that we want to talk to Adam Ronis about. And Terrell Furman is our other guest coming up in just about 10 minutes here to talk some NBA odds and might even dabble some WNBA talk with him as well. So if you want to get some WNBA action out there, we'll have him on to talk. But going to the NBA Summer League, obviously you're glued in, as you mentioned, and you got the DFS playbook for tonight. So I know you've dove into all these rosters and paying attention. Any big takeaways, I guess non-Wemby related for this summer league?
I mean, the main takeaway is basketball is obviously in a really good place. This has been the most viewed summer league. I think it was, Wemby's debut was the most viewed summer league game of all time. If not, it was
Yeah,
number two. Like, everything that we've heard of him, and it's probably unfair, but we've been down this road before with the LeBron comparisons and stuff. But like, Wemby has been, you know, it's warranted at this point. So,
yeah,
I think you bring up an amazing point about what the summer league is, Servo. It's people are literally playing for jobs. Like, a lot of these people not named, like tonight we have Shaden Sharp and possibly Scoot Henderson and Brandon Miller going, and like the non top five draft picks from the last 2 years, and even just first and second round picks, a lot of these guys are two-way contract players, guys that were just signed to possibly make the roster. Like they are fighting for their lives. And a lot of them spent time in the G League last year. A lot of them spent time overseas. Like, so you are getting like people playing, unlike the end of the regular season in the NBA, where you're just getting like, or much like the end of the season in the NBA, where you're just getting the 13th, 14th, 15th men on the rosters playing for next year, right? Or playing for rotation minutes. So
Yeah.
it's been a lot of fun to see. I will say it's hard. The one thing about Summer League, it's really hard to get news on the Summer League. Like I think it was either 2 days ago or yesterday, the was it the Magic lineup came out at 7:59 and they locked at 8 p.m. Like you like it's just you're like speculating at this point. Like, oh well, the Pelicans tonight have another game, and Dyson Daniels, who's been on their team and has played for them already. Like, what is the need for him to play, right? And that's been
Yeah.
something on the odds front that you can take advantage of. Like, if Dyson Daniels doesn't play, the Pelicans are 3-point favorites. They probably don't beat the Hornets, and who have Brandon Miller led team. Something like that's an edge that you can get in summer league betting. Or like the Trailblazers are 5-point favorites. We don't know if Scoot Henderson's playing. Jabari Walker's listed as questionable, and we don't know if Shaedon Sharpe, who almost didn't play last game, is going to play. Like, a lot of question marks around summer league, so you have to definitely be diligent. But it's been fun, man. Like, again, there's stars everywhere tonight. Again, we have the 8th overall pick in Anthony Black for the Orlando Magic taking the floor. We have no Jabari Smith or Tari Eason. They're ruled out for Houston, but possibly Shaedon Sharpe. And we have Brandon Miller going 2nd overall pick in the draft. So we have a lot of star power on tonight. There's been a lot of G League, studs. Lester Quininos of the Golden State Warriors averaging 24 a night, and he's gone for 26 and 31 his last 2 games. Like, it's been a lot of fun to watch people that you may not watch during the regular season, or like you see play themselves into getting a chance on some teams. So it's been fun, and I don't expect anything less tonight.
Yeah, the one guy that I've been excited to see back on the court, and people are getting a reintroduction to him, is Chet Holmgren with the Thunder.
Oh my God.
Because it's been nice to see him actually play in this summer league, and he's been lighting it up. And there's a reason why, after the NBA draft, the NBA Rookie of the Year odds when they came out, it was rightfully Wemby was the favorite, and he still is the betting favorite. But Scoot Henderson was 2nd, and 3rd is Chet Holmgren. His odds have shortened now. I think people kind of seeing like, oh yeah, Holmgren's a beast. He's not as he's not as good as Wemby, but like he's a similar build. He can do things on both ends of the floor where he can kind of take over games as a shot blocker and a scorer. He can hit from 3-point range as well. This guy's legit, and he sat out all last year, but he's a guy that could actually be legit this season for the Thunder and possibly take that Rookie of the Year. So it's been awesome to see him, in the summer league, and he's not backing down. He's not taking it easy either. He's out there trying to prove to people that don't forget about me because he's back in there. So it's cool to like see guys like that. You mentioned someone like Anthony Black, who maybe has a small chip on his shoulder to prove that he should have been like a top 5 pick. Even some of these guys, like the second rounders that are on different teams that are, again, playing for a job, but also just trying to prove that, like, I should have been a first rounder, because they're going at guys that were drafted ahead of them. Or as you mentioned, guys that were in the G League or playing overseas, now trying to make it back into the league. So yeah, a lot of cool vibes around the NBA Summer League. Scoot Henderson's been the other guy that's, he's dealing with that shoulder injury. Sat out a few games already, but we'll see if he plays tonight, because that'll be cool to see him back on the court for the Trailblazers. So yeah, some cool storylines going on. I wanted to get your take before we bring on Terrell, and we're going to talk tons of big picture storylines and futures odds with Terrell and Adam Ronis, but just like kind of your view of this whole Damian Lillard situation. Now that we're talking about Scoot and the Trailblazers, because Lillard, I mean, it's been out there. He's going to be traded, but the Trailblazers have also said that they're going to take their time. They're not going to rush into a trade, it seems. I don't know. It's part of me thinks that they won't trade him, before the season starts, and they might kind of wait and see. And maybe by the NBA trade deadline, they find someone. Because I just, unless a team really blows them out of the water with an offer, they're not gonna. It seems like they're in the vibe where they don't want to force anything and get less back in a trade. But I don't know. What's your view of this whole Lillard situation? It seems like the Heat are the favorites to get him, right?
Yeah, I mean, he's said that all along, and that was something. Now he does have like this media relationship where he has people that he will talk to specifically. Dame's always talked about this, how he is very tight knit with people that he surrounds himself with. And Miami has been the number one team. He even said it in a podcast where he said, and he was cautious with his wording. He said, if I were to go anywhere, I'd want to go to Miami if they didn't win the championship. That was prior to them losing to Denver in the finals. So now they didn't win the championship. He also specifically name dropped Bam Adebayo as his boy. You literally said, he's my dog. That was in the podcast what he said. Like, he wants to play with Bam. He wants to go to Miami. There's the reports that are saying Dame is going to refuse to play with anything else. But it's, for me, like, as much as he's given back to Portland, as an organization, they don't owe anything to Dame. They gave him all the money in the world. They gave him a max contract. They gave him a super max contract. They've given him everything that he's needed. And now he wants to leave. And I don't have a problem with him leaving. I've never had a problem with anybody leaving for a better situation for themselves. Like, I've never hated on Kevin Durant for going to Golden State. I know that's probably a minority take, but I've never, ever thought, like, I think anything less of Kevin Durant, the basketball player. He got a ring. That was the thing that was, hindering on his legacy, and he did it. And now Dame has maxed out his potential with Portland. They made it to the Western Conference Finals once, and we see now in the West, there's no chance back with what Portland has. I mean, they gave Jeremy Grant 107 or 100 and whatever million. He's a good player, but that's not a piece that moves the needle. If I were to guess, I've said it all along, I think Brooklyn would have been a good fit for Dame, and I think they have the best package potentially. I don't know if that puts them over the edge in the East. Like, Milwaukee still would be a better team. Boston's probably still a better team. But I would really like the fit with Mikal Bridges breaking out the way he did last year. And I would really like the fit with like guys like Nick Claxton. Obviously, they would probably move on from Spencer Dinwiddie at that point. Miami's the clear-cut favorite. There's going to need to be a third team likely in the trade, and that's where Brooklyn comes in with the Ben Simmons thing, where they're like trying to float Ben Simmons out there and shed his contract. I don't think it goes as far as you said, Servo. I think it gets done before the season. I don't think they're in any rush to get it done right now. I do think Miami is where he ends up. It'll just be interesting to see what else is included in this deal, whether it's a third team, maybe a fourth team involved, like whatever the deal ends up being. I think Lillard ends up in Miami. I know that's like a boring take, and I would love to say Brooklyn, but like the traction behind Brooklyn, they're now plus 1,000. They're behind teams like the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Knicks. And they were second they had the second best odds when this originally dropped, because he also in that podcast mentioned Mikal Bridges by name and how much he likes Mikal Bridges as well. Yeah. So I think it's Miami and then the field, but like at this point, again, Portland needs to do what's best for their organization. They've already given Dame all the money he could have ever dreamt for. And, that's that.
Yeah, interesting. And you mentioned like the Nets value, if you want to bet on that. And even to win the East, I think I'm looking at plus 2,200 on DraftKings if you want to go that route. But even the Heat, I mean, plus 400 to win the East, for a third best odds. So maybe that's obviously the Heat just made the finals, so they'd be good anyway. But I think there's some value there because if Lillard goes there today, those odds are shortening quick. I
Right.
think so. Yeah, some potential value there. And by the way, if you are placing any futures bets on the NBA, MLB, NFL, anything going on, go right now to here's your chance to win a little giveaway we're giving you guys for free. Go in our chat right now, whether it's on YouTube or wherever you're watching here, and just comment any futures bet that you've placed for any sport, and you could win a free entry into the fantasy championship over at rtsports.com. It's a $300 value for this entry into the fantasy championship, which is a full season fantasy football contest with a guaranteed grand prize of $500,000. Leagues are drafting live every day, even slow drafting every day until this contest sells out. $1,600 in league prizes for all these leagues. And you get, it's a fantasy football league, a weekly fab, 2 flex spot lineups. So if you play fantasy football, this is for you. And this is a free entry, chance for a free entry into this huge contest that you could win and win some big money for. So definitely go there. Just comment right now with any futures bet that you've placed. And by the way, if you haven't already, go play the Real-Time Sports Fantasy Football Best Ball Championship. Compete for a grand prize of $25,000. You can enjoy the draft, get your best possible lineup each week for this best ball setup night. You get an exclusive offer and 100% deposit match up to $200 if you go 23. You can get this entry and free chance to win this fantasy football best ball championship over at Real Time Sports. Please play responsibly, and for help, call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, let's continue this NBA talk and bring in our first guest here on the show today. It's Terrell Furman Jr. How are you doing, Terrell? Appreciate you joining us here. He is a co-host of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network, NBA, WNBA, NFL Gambling, and the College Experience Podcast. That's the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. What's up, Terrell?
Hey, what's going on, fellas?
What's up, man?
Doing well, man. We're in the midst of our NBA talk, and we had to bring you on to talk some hoops with us because I know you're glued into all these futures odds. Got to start with this whole Damian Lillard situation. We were just talking about how the Heat seem to be the favorites. We don't know when it's going to get done, but if you're kind of expecting him to go there or any other teams, when you're looking at like the odds for the East teams, the Heat plus 400 to win the East right now. Is that a value to you? Expecting Lillard possibly there, or any other teams you think Lillard could end up on for this season?
I don't know if I'm there on Heat plus 400 just yet. I mean, of course they can do it. They've been to the championship, 3 of the last 4 years or something like that. They've been in the conference finals 3 of the last 4 years, something like that. So they're always going to be in it, especially if they add a talent like Damian Lillard. But I'm interested to see, okay, how do they retool? How do they reload? Because they did lose Max Strus to Cleveland. They did lose Gabe Vincent to Los Angeles. And so, Caleb Martin has been talked about. He's going to be in the trade in whatever trade situation is possible. Caleb Martin is going to be in that trade. Tyler Hero's probably going to be in that trade going to a third team. So what happens if you make the Dame trade? What is left there for me to sit there and say, all right, you deserve to be plus 400 to win the East? Because Damian Lillard has proven that he can't carry a team there by himself. He's going to need some help. And I mean, of course, you got Jimmy Butler and Bam, but you're going to need a deeper team than that, unless you're going to be sitting there looking like the Phoenix Suns of the East. So, long shot for me, and I don't know why anybody isn't talking about it. I actually don't know why the team isn't talking about it. Why wouldn't Dame go to OKC? If you look at OKC, 4 first-round draft picks next year. 4, if everything goes their way. If all the top 10, top 4 protected picks go their way, they have 4 picks next year. They have 4 picks in 2025. So I'm just like, you're not drafting that much young talent and putting them on a team. You're using that for capital for trades to bring you a star over that can put you over the top, and you can pair with an SGA, you can pair with the Josh Giddey, you can pair with the Chet Holmgren, who should be really, really good this year. Like, why would Dame not go to OKC? That seems like a team that they just need a star. They need somebody to put them over the top and help them get there. And unfortunately, right now, Dame doesn't have the winning category, but he has the stardom
Right.
that they need. So I think OKC is a beautiful long shot that they could just swoop in the last second and say, you know what? Here's 4 or 5 first round picks. Let's get Dame Lillard.
I
Juicy.
haven't thought of
No one's talking about that.
I haven't thought about that, but like they also have the contracts that they could unload in a deal like that. Like they have Davis Bertans on their roster. They signed the Oladipo or got Oladipo, who has a $10 million deal. Like Lou Dort, who is, they probably don't want to get shed, but like $15 million, I'm sure they would be okay with getting Damian Lillard for Lou Dort. If you have a core of SGA, Dame, Holmgren, Jalen Williams squared, because both of them are dogs, and then and Pokashevsky. I mean, I think you're onto something. Now, here's the question though, and we don't know because Dame is obviously only talks to specific members of the media. Like he has his inner circle of media members. Would OKC be on the list? That's the obvious question. Like Miami seems to be the only team, and again, this is coming from Dame's circle, right? Like this is he's only going to Miami. Do you think he could, if OKC was presented to him, do you think that would be something he would like get excited for? I mean, that's a crazy roster they have of young talent.
I think OKC can put themselves in position to be something similar to the Miami Heat when they went and recruited Chris Bosh and LeBron James in one offseason, where they have a star. They have somebody that's really good.
Right.
They need 1 to 2 more pieces. 1 to 2 more pieces, probably a Dame Lillard and somebody that has that winning pedigree, that winning championship mentality, that veteran type player. And they have the trade capital to do it. What I've been waiting from Sam Presti is you've gotten and you stockpiled all these picks. What are you going to do with them? Because you're not drafting all of these players. I'm going to tell you that right now. You're not drafting that number of players. Do you know how many busts there are in the NBA? Like, you're not drafting that number of players and taking that chance. You want something solidified you know is going to work. So I think if OKC sat here and says, hey, dang, we're going to trade for you and we're going to trade for whoever that other, you may feel like that other person is.
Yeah,
maybe it's a Zion Williamson.
Yeah, I was thinking like a big man or something.
What is it? Yeah, so what is that other piece? And then Dame 100% be like, all right, I'll go there. All right, I'll go there. That sounds all right. I think the Miami thing is a little played up, and it just seems like they're not coming to equal terms on what they're willing to do and getting a third team involved. So if Miami implodes, Dame's going somewhere. So if it's not Miami, where else is it? Brooklyn. I heard you say Brooklyn earlier. Brooklyn is a possibility, but it's got to be somewhere else, because I can tell you right now, if there was a bet on if Dame would play another game in a Portland Trailblazers uniform, I would play the no. And I just lay the minus 1 million that they're gonna make me lay with the no.
The Thunder plus 2,200 right now on DraftKings to win the West. If you want to take a shot on that, and back Terrell, saying the Thunder can make some noise here. Staying in the West though, got to shift gears here to the Bradley Beal trade and just how it impacts the Suns' chances in the West. A crazy big three for them, obviously now with Booker and KD. How much do you think this impacts the Suns' chance to actually, possibly beat the Nuggets in the conference now? How real do you think it is, or do you think it doesn't really shift the needle too much for the Suns?
I got to see how they retool everything on the bench and how they're able to prove that they can get some type of consistent bench production over the course of this year. The Suns are a team that I'm probably going to look to fade closer towards the beginning of the year. And then when the trade deadline comes around and they go and they make that play and they get somebody that, is on nobody's radar, but when you look at the end of the day and say, wow, that's a really good bench piece they got, then I think that they'll be all right. We're going to see how Frank Vogel does getting this team to play defense, because as it looks constructed right now, they're probably going to give up about 125, 126 points per game. So we'll see what Frank Vogel did, because this is what he did with the Lakers when he came in with the Lakers. He turned that team around defensively and just allowed his stars to go out there and hoop, and that's all the Suns need. They don't need you to have a crazy offensive game plan. We're getting point guard Devin Booker, it looks like. So this could be like another step ahead of his game. I think that this Suns team is very interesting, but I'm not looking to get down on them now. I probably look to buy in on them after they have a little bit of a rough start of the season, maybe a couple injuries here or there, and closer to the trade deadline, where I think they're probably going to make some moves.
They could have used maybe like a Bruce Brown piece that was floating out there to actually play defense for them, because you don't think Keita Bates-Diop and Eric Gordon and Josh Okogie are going to stop many people coming off the bench for the Phoenix?
Yeah. No, they could use a little bit of help. They could use a little bit of help, and at this point, it's not how long DeAndre Ayton is there, but it's when DeAndre Ayton is gone, because I'm almost positive he's going to be the next piece gone, just to be able to help get some more depth on that team. And so this Suns team as presently constructed, I don't think that they have it just yet, but I have faith that they're going to make the moves necessary by the end of the season, where when we get to playoff time, they are going to be in contention for a championship. You
mentioned the Ayton factor here. He's a guy that, I look at the Suns to possibly be in like a 3 or 4 team trade with the Trailblazers if they need to put that contract in for someone to make money work either way, and they get a piece back. Yeah, they get a piece back that can help them on the defensive end on the wings there. I could see that being a possibility.
And it's a lot of good defenders that should be shopped around. I mean, just look at the Clippers and the James Harden situation. You're probably going to see a Robert Covington hit the market. That's going to be a good bench depth piece for you. You're probably going to see what's his name? Norman Powell. You're probably going to see a Norman Powell hit the market or move on. And so that's going to be another big depth piece. So I think that they're evaluating.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, sticking with the Harden situation, do you think he's going back to Philly now?
No.
I mean, it seems like that's no, you don't. Done. Okay,
yeah, it's over. That's over.
Yeah, I was thinking the signs are pointing him going back to the Sixers, but where do you think he ends up then?
As of right now, I'm hearing it's Clippers, and it's at some point it's the same thing as the Dame situation where they just can't come to an agreement. But it doesn't look like he wants to be back in Philadelphia at all. It looks like he wants to get a payday. He wants to collect more money, but it's also the fact of that he didn't like how Daryl Morey and them were kind of handling his contract situation. It's just more of a lack of respect. And at some point when you feel tried, you're like, all right, I can't do this anymore. So I don't think it has anything to do with Joel Embiid or the coach or any of that stuff. I think James Harden just got into one of his moods and said, all right, look, like this relationship is tainted. I don't want to be here anymore. I want to move on. Everybody's crucifying him for it. However, I will, in James Harden's defense, he did prove and say that Brooklyn was a dumpster fire before anybody else. Before anybody else said it. He said Brooklyn was a dumpster fire. He got up out of there. So I'm gonna side with James Harden and say he knows something that we don't, and he's definitely getting out of Philly this time around.
Well, if it's not the Clippers, right? And I'm looking at some odds, and we already know it's not Houston. Ime Udoka came out and said, no, not happening. No, James. He just flat out was like, no, he's not playing on my team. If it's not the Clippers, the Knicks have the second best odds at plus 175.
Nobody's going to the Knicks.
Right, but like you even
and I'm a Knicks fan. And I'm a Knicks fan. Nobody's going to the Knicks.
Well, I mean, that's your long-standing thing. Like, you guys have the Villanova Wildcats of 2017. That's what you guys have going for you right now. But like,
they do.
What would that deal even look like? Julius Randle would probably be, or actually, RJ Barrett is probably the front man of that trade, right? For in a James Harden deal, like what does that trade even look like? If a plus one, they have the second best odds. I gotta ask because third is still Houston at plus 900. So like Clippers minus 110, Knicks plus 175. Huge gap to Houston. Where else would James Harden go if it's not the Clippers? or the Knicks.
I don't even know. I don't know what the market is for James Harden.
Right.
Like, is there a market for James Harden? Is anybody looking to add a James Harden to their team and just say that they're a championship competitor? I mean, it's been time after time, team after team, where James Harden has been in the playoffs and they haven't gotten there. They haven't reached the mountaintop. They haven't gotten out of the conference finals. And so a lot of those times they haven't even gotten to the conference finals. So
Right.
it's like, what is the market for a James Harden that you would be interested? It feels like James Harden has to go somewhere that already has a winning culture and he can just kind of go in and do his thing. And so, I mean, does Miami come in and sweep in and say we couldn't get Dame, we'll take a James Harden, and
Good
we
point.
trust that we have a winning culture that he just has to come produce and we're going to be able to do it? I mean, possibly. I could see something like that happening and really throwing everybody for a loop where Dame and James Harden just end up swapping potential teams. Like, I could 100% see that. So I really don't know what a market is for James Harden, who is an aging superstar who is hurt quite frequently often. And it doesn't seem like many teams want to just go out there and take a chance. I know the Knicks are thrown out there, but I just don't trust the Knicks to be able to make a move for anybody.
That's going from a Knicks
That's
fan.
coming
too.
straight from. That is such a Knicks take right there.
Yep.
We're visited here by Terrell Furman, and if you follow Terrell at really rel with 2 underscores at the end, you can see there on the screen. You can see he's been glued into the WNBA and giving out picks every night. We're in the middle of the WNBA All-Star break here, but wanted to just kind of finish up with some WNBA futures for the rest of this season. Because if you look at odds to win it all right now, it's basically the Las Vegas Aces are minus 210.
Yeah.
New York Liberty at plus 250, but then after that, it's a huge drop off to everyone else. So is it basically between these two teams? You got the Connecticut Sun there. You see it 1500 plus 1500. Is it basically between the Aces and Liberty? And is there value, I guess, on the Liberty, or do you think it's the Aces to beat?
Yeah, I think it is between the Aces and the Liberty. Connecticut Sun can give both of these two teams a series. Like, they can absolutely give both of these two teams a series and a really good scare. But at the end of the day, I think it's just a little bit too much firepower on the other two sides. But we'll see how the Liberty do in the second half of the season. I've gone, on record saying that last year, Sandy Brandello in her first year in New York, this team looked atrocious in the first half of the season. And then after the All-Star break, it all clicked. Everything made sense. They went on a crazy run, winning like some 9 of their last 11 or something like that to push themselves in the playoffs. And then they stole a playoff game on the road in Chicago. So, and that's the defending champions that they stole a playoff game on the road for. So I think that, we'll see what the second half of the season brings. If you're going to get in on the Liberty, now is the best time, because this line is only going to get better from here, because I think they will be a better team in the second half of the season. And if it all clicks, if it all kind of makes sense for them, then it's a very good buy low spot on the Liberty here. And you could potentially have a WNBA finals where you already have a, one side of plus 250 in your pocket. And then you can evaluate the Aces, who are the best team in the WNBA by far, with, whatever you want to evaluate them with, and you want to hedge, you want to grain up, whatever you want to do in that situation.
Yeah.
So I would 100% get down on the Liberty right now. I think that is a 2-team race, and really closer to a 1-team race, with kind of hope that the Liberty make this interesting as we get closer down the stretch. But the Aces, they're the champs until they ain't the champs no more, as one may have said. So I think that it's going to be very, very interesting to see what they do going forward and what their playoff run looks like, because we've seen teams be absolutely dominant in the regular season, 7-3-9 Golden State Warriors, and not claim the championship and be able to repeat. So they're having an amazing season. It's probably going to historically go down as one of the best seasons of all time, and we're going to see what happens in the playoffs.
Awesome stuff. Terrell Furman, you can follow him on Twitter at reallyRel with 2 underscores at the end there. Co-host of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. Awesome stuff with just talking NBA, WNBA. Again, follow him on Twitter for all his WNBA picks every night. I know we'll have you on because it's just we got baseball going on, but we need something else to
Hoops never stops.
Here.
Hoops never stops.
Yeah, hoops never. Yeah, we were talking earlier about betting on some of these NBA Summer League games, but yeah, we got to dive into more WNBA once their season resumes. So we'll try to have you back on here, Terrell. But thanks for the time today.
Absolutely. Let me know. Always.
Thanks, Terrell.
All right. Thanks, Terrell. All right, let's keep the NBA talk here and bring on our next guest, Adam Ronis. For our, you know him from Fantasy Alarm, Better Sports Network, Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio, wherever you hear and see him. He's always given us some good advice on the sports betting front. What's up, Adam?
What's going on? Haven't seen you guys in a while. Glad to be back and hope your summer's going well.
Yo, nice shirt.
Yeah.
Nice shirt.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, what do you got? A little T-shirt on there?
Of course, yeah, of course. I got my my uncle's football team coaches a college 7-on-7 sprint league, so representing the family, Ronis.
You're not good enough to play in that league, right?
I mean, if we're talking like me and you competing, I'd cook you, but no. I mean,
wait a second. First of all, you probably wouldn't. even though you're like 20 years younger than me, you should. But man, I'm telling you, I'm pretty good. I just right now I booked a softball game for Sunday.
Are you gonna wear that shirt?
No, I'm playing softball. You're not there to look pretty. I'm there to get dirty, man. So nah.
Ronis, you look like you're just at that whiteout party with Harden and Embiid and
I wish I was
Josh
there.
Harris.
I wish I was there. Definitely my type of women over there.
Ronis, did you see on his TikTok? He did a Stephen A. Smith type TikTok video asking Michael Rubin where his invite was. Yeah. I don't know if you saw that Stephen A. Smith, like Michael Rubin. Where's it? I saw it on Ronis' TikTok, and he tagged Michael Rubin and everything. It was
I should have been there, man. I need to get to that party one of these years, man. It's unfair that I'm not invited.
On that note, if you were there, you would be able to tell us what's going on with Harden and Philly. We were just talking to Terrell Furman about potential going to Clippers, going to another team. I mean, what do you see with this? Because it seemed like a week ago. Even a few days ago, that Harden might be going back to Philly, but maybe that's not the case. What do you think is going to happen?
Yeah, he clearly doesn't want to be there. I mean, he's such a weird guy, man. It's just like you heard. I mean, again, I like what he does off the court. I've seen him with a lot of women that fit my taste as well. But on the court, man, I mean, it's just frustrating. Health is an issue. His shooting is bad. I don't think many teams that are championship contenders want him. I mean, he's made it clear he wants to go to the Clippers, and that's the state of the NBA now, right? Guys kind of dictating where they want to go. Right. And he clearly is not happy with the way things have worked with Philly and the contract and everything. So, I mean, that'll be a healthy team if he goes to the Clippers. George, Leonard, and Harden, I think you could rely on them all playing 82 games.
Yeah, combined, right? That was combined. That was a combined 82 games combined. I mean, just piggybacking on that, like now that Houston's kind of out of the picture, I mean, I think that as soon as they signed Van Vliet, that was probably the case. Like they signed Van Vliet, now Harden's, but Ime Udoka made sure to say, hey, he's not coming here. Like, is there anyone other? Like we were just talking to Terrell about this. The Knicks, Ronis, are plus 175, but when you think about the Knicks, what does that package look like? It's RJ Barrett led. It's Julius Randle led, who I know a lot of fans would probably be happy to part with, even though Julius Randle was, arguably the main reason other than Jalen Brunson. Like him and Brunson were their best two players last year. What does a Knicks package look like, and what's the likelihood that he would go there?
I don't see why you would do that if you're the Knicks. I understand the Knicks are at a level right now where they're still not a championship contender based on the top tier teams in the East with Boston and Milwaukee and Miami, and I know we'll probably get to them. But it doesn't make sense for the Knicks to do that deal. Again, trying to figure out the package, that's another story. But if you're the Knicks, I don't think you want to enter the Harden sweepstakes. I don't think it makes sense for this team. They've gotten better. Brunson's clearly a superstar. I mean, I think we had an idea, but I think even if you had the highest expectations for Brunson come to the Knicks, what he did during the regular season, the playoffs definitely was even better than we thought. Randall obviously towards the end kind of struggled, but he had a great regular season. So the Knicks, still kind of need that superstar, but I don't think James Harden is the guy that you get to bring there.
Yeah, that would shake things up pretty massively in New York if that happened. The other big name, obviously, that's still out there on the market, the trade market, is Damian Lillard. It seems like the Heat are the favorites to get him. Just waiting to see what kind of deal happens. Whether it's a 3-team deal or just some contracts from other teams mixed in. But I mean, do you think it's the Heat and everyone else, or do you see another team possibly making the move to get Lillard?
Well, this is such a complicated situation because Lillard really doesn't have any leverage here. He doesn't have a no trade clause. But at the same time, Portland, I feel like, they kind of want Dame to be happy. He's played there 12 seasons. He never requested a trade all these years. He didn't want to be a part of these superstar teams. And we figured this was probably going to come at a certain point. I mean, and I can't blame Lillard. The guy is clutch. How many big shots have we seen him hit? He's one of my favorite players in the NBA, and I would love to see him compete for an NBA title. I want to see him, go deep into the playoffs. And we've seen, that one team that made the run, but they really have not done a great job of putting championship pieces around him. So at the same time, Portland's not in a rush because they don't have to deal them and they want to get something back. The problem with Miami is the draft picks are just not going to be good. Miami is not a team that has been bad. I can't remember the last time they had a bad season. So you're not going to get, top 10 draft picks more than likely, unless, injuries just destroy them this year. So that's the biggest problem right now, which is why Portland can be patient. We haven't really heard anything from Lillard, but I mean, Lillard going there would be amazing. We've seen Miami make the finals a couple times in recent years and fall just short. But if you have a trio of Butler, Bam, and Lillard, I mean, that is something I want to see because Butler doesn't have to be the guy. I think he's okay with Lillard taking most of the shots. And I don't know if it was injury, but we saw Butler defer a lot in the NBA finals, which was perplexing to me. Like, I just felt like he wasn't aggressive enough, whether it was injury or whatever it was. But then the other factor is Miami has kind of been, it seems like they expect this to happen. They really haven't done much in free agency. They lost Vincent. They lost Strus. So they're kind of hoping that this happens. They kind of need it to happen. So it's a real strange situation where everything points to Miami, but Miami's also not in a position where they go, all right, we need to force this. Miami's very calculated. They know what they're doing. This is a very smart organization. So I think this is I don't think we're going to get a quick resolution here. I think it could take some time. I think in the end, my guess is he does wind up in Miami, and that would just make the East very interesting. As someone who's not a fan of any NBA team, I would like to see it happen. I don't love Miami, so I wish it was a different team. But, man, I love Dame. I love Bam, too, and I love Butler. So I think it would be really fun if Dame goes there. And I think it would make the NBA, especially in the East, very interesting.
Well, if he does, let's just pivot right there. If he does, are they the favorite to win the East? Knowing what we know today, we can't predict who else they're going to sign. They signed Josh Richardson. That was their biggest offseason signing, right? After losing Strus and Vincent. Are they the favorites in the East?
I think from a betting perspective, they would be close. I think Boston might still have a slight edge. Remember, the betting market from what we perceive as favorites is different because the books can't have it be a liability. If they put Miami too low, money's going to flood in on them. So my guess is they'd be right there with Boston because most people are going to look at it, even if you're a casual fan, right? You're like, wait, Miami made the finals last year. They lost in the finals. Now they're adding Damian Lillard. Oh, yeah, they're the best team. They're going to beat Boston again. So they would definitely, from the book's perspective, be right up there with Boston if they're not the favorite. And I'd put them right there. I think you have to. Again, I think Boston, maybe people soured on them because of the way they performed. I thought that was a real disappointing playoffs for Boston.
Correct.
They're just a team that, for some reason, they don't play their best until their backs are against the wall, and that's concerning. Now, they did have a first-year coach. You have to take that into account. They did add Porzingis, which I think was a good addition. We know health is a factor. Porzingis was really good last year. When he was on the court,
he was amazing.
He was amazing. Yeah,
he was really good.
And I think he kind of fits that team as well. He'll get some open threes. So I think Boston's still very good. And we forget how young Tatum is. People like to criticize Tatum. He's 25, right?
I think we have finally aged out of the 25th birthday. I think maybe he's 26. Yeah. Maybe.
But either way, it feels like he's been around like 10 years, and like he's still really young. So, second year. For the coach as well. So I think Boston is still right up there. Milwaukee, no one really talks about them. It's going to be interesting to see how they respond with a new coach. A lot of people feel Budenholzer was one of the reasons why that they failed. But, they got Lopez and Middleton back. I think Miami obviously would move ahead of Milwaukee. I don't know. Do you think they would move ahead of Boston? I think they'd be slightly behind Boston. I think Boston would still remain the favorite. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think they'd move ahead of Milwaukee, but still slightly behind or even with Boston, just because, they're going to get money coming in, as you mentioned, on Miami if literally ends up going there. The big question of Boston, too, is like Jaylen Brown. I mean, is he definitely coming back? Is he, is that a potential trade that people aren't really talking about? I mean, everyone assumes he's going to be back, but like the big thing with him is like he hasn't signed his extension yet, which is weird. You'd think it would have happened by now, but we'll see, I guess. I wanted to shift gears to the West here because I got to ask you about the Warriors adding Chris Paul has been the other, big storyline this offseason, in that whole Bradley Beal trade to Phoenix. You could see the odds here. The Warriors plus 400 to win the West. The Nuggets rightful favorites and the Suns at plus 320 now with Beal there. But how do you see Chris Paul fitting in with this Warriors? Because on paper and just, from if you watch both these teams the past, 5-10 years, they play very different styles, right? So I struggle to see how well it's going to fit with Paul. I know he's a vet. He's going to make anything work. But how do you see that? Do you think that they're better? Do you think, plus 400 is a value for the Warriors?
No, I'm not betting on them. I just can't. I think they're still getting it based on reputation. See, I guess the big factor is here, how much did that Draymond Green Jordan pool issue affect them throughout the whole season? It's easy to say it didn't, but they were awful on the road. They were not good the entire year. That's why I couldn't believe people were betting Golden State in the playoffs. Like, Denver obviously was disrespected. I mean, it's easy to say that now, but they were. Everyone was picking anyone else but Denver. Oh, Golden State, they have championship pedigree. They were terrible the whole year. Like, you can't just go into the playoffs and turn it on. You can't play that poorly on the road. You can't be that poor defensively. Obviously, Phoenix, Booker and Durant. Well, we kind of saw that they did not have a lot of depth at all. So I still don't buy Golden State. I think they'll be good, but I don't think I would put money on them to come out of the West. I just don't see it. I mean, Curry's still great. Wiggins obviously missed some time. Draymond back, great. I think they're good, but I'm not betting on them to come out of the West. I think Paul will be fine. They don't need to push him in the regular season. That's been the biggest factor for Paul. Every time the postseason comes, he's just not healthy. But Paul's a guy that doesn't need to shoot a lot. He'll take some of the pressure, the ball handling pressure off of Curry. So I think it'll be fine, but I don't think they come out of the West. Especially at those odds, I'm not putting money on that.
Who do you? Because like when I look at the odds, it's obviously Denver is favorite, but I do think the Bruce Brown loss is going to impact them as a unit. We saw how good he was in the postseason. We obviously have depth issues about depth questions with Phoenix. Golden State at plus 65 or 650 on DraftKings Sportsbook. And then you have the two LA teams. You have the Lakers at plus 750 and the Clippers, who have been one of my favorite teams to bet over the last 2 years to represent the West, because I can't shake Paul George and Kawhi Leonard being on a team together, but they just can't stay healthy. Is there anyone in the West that is going to dethrone the Nuggets that you see, Adam? Like, what is your temperature on the West as a whole right now?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really love anyone out there. I mean, I like what the Lakers did here in the offseason, but again, a lot comes down to the health of LeBron James and Anthony Davis in the postseason. But we did see after the trade deadline, they were one of the better teams. I thought Gabe Vincent was a good addition. He fits, get some outside shooting. That was one of the problems with the Lakers throughout the year. And I would see 100%. Them shoot horribly from three. And I'm like, why do they keep taking threes? Because you guys keep missing left and right. And I get it. That's the way the NBA is. But at the same time, you guys just aren't good at it. So that always bothered me. But yeah, I think the Lakers at that price, they're not bad. The Suns, I mean, look, people are criticizing them, but what could they have done? I mean, I get Beal. Beal's, you're not relying on him to be a big piece, right? So I think they did the best that they could. So if they can improve the bench, I think they have a shot. I'm intrigued by the Thunder.
Dude,
right?
We were just having this conversation with Terrell.
Mm-hmm. I missed it.
They are. No, don't worry about it. He suggested, how about the Thunder for Lillard would be a possible suitor because they have all those picks that
but does
Presti stockpiled.
Does he want to go there?
That was what I pitched to Terrell. Like, from what we've heard in the Lillard camp, it's everything related around trades are what he wants, right? It's like, I want to go to Miami. Mikal Bridges is my dog. That's really all the conversation has been, right? Like, but the Thunder, if you're throwing in Chet Holmgren, who I think is, we could talk about this right after this, live to win Rookie of the Year. If there's anyone live after Wemby, you already have a superstar in SGA who was second team All-NBA, probably should have been first team. That's a hoax. And then you have Jalen Williams squared, Giddey. I like that, Adam. Plus 5,000 right now on DraftKings Sportsbook.
Yeah, I mean, look, again, I don't think there's, anyone up top that you're like, oh, yeah, clearly. And I think that's kind of what we're seeing with the NBA, right? Like, there's no dominant team anymore. And, the Nuggets, I think we knew the Nuggets were good going into the year. But, the Thunder were very good last year for what we expected going into the year. A lot of people, they're going to tank, they're going to be bad. And it felt like they kind of wanted to take and avoid, but they couldn't. They just kept playing well. Remember, they were sitting SGA some games. I mean, was he legitimately hurt? I don't know. But
no way he was hurt.
They were a fun team, man. I bet on them a lot. I mean, SGA props were fun. I mean, this team was 2 games under 500 last year. You mentioned Holmgren, who they're going to get. Another year of development of all these young guys. Why not? I mean, if some of these teams get injuries, it was a team no one is talking about in Sacramento. They pretty much have the same team. I mean, I guess people don't believe in them. You think, they could have been a product too of just staying healthy the entire year. And every other team had issues in the West. But no one kind of mentions them at all. It's kind of funny. They had a really good year.
Well, like they had the good year and then they lost twice at home to a team who couldn't win on the road, right? It's like in that series, I was all in on the Kings in that series. Like you were saying earlier, how can you bet on Golden State when they can't win on the road? And then they went in and beat Sacramento. They lit the beam twice in Sacramento. So, like, I don't disagree. They signed that dude from the EuroLeague, the MVP from last year. Mm-hmm. That was like their biggest splash, which right here we actually have a question on it. Sasha Vesenskov. Who was the guy they signed from the Euro? Is that his name? The EuroLeague MVP guy? EuroLeague MVP. I don't know about the Kings, Adam. I'm not
saying I like them. I'm saying no one talks about them at all. I mean, I guess we see why. But no, I think, again, Denver is still, you still got to like them with Jokic and Murray, man, and Porter. They're still very good. But, you don't like betting the favorite, especially to repeat. But, yeah, I mean, I would look at the Lakers, the Suns, and I guess the Thunder as a dark horse.
I wanted to wrap with you asking about this in-season tournament that has been announced for the NBA. I mean, what is your kind of thoughts overall on this? Is it, the Celtics are plus 700 to win it. All the top teams are, the shortest odds there. But, obviously outside of a betting spot perspective, what is your kind of reaction to this in-season tournament actually happening?
No, I didn't get all of the details because I was away on vacation when this was announced. So I kind of have an idea of it. Look, I'm all for trying new things. If it doesn't work, they probably don't go with it. I mean, we've seen that the regular season, so many guys are sitting out. I don't know if this incentivizes guys. What is it? $500,000 to the winners. For the elite players, that doesn't matter. Obviously, for some guys, they want that money. So I'm going to kind of wait and see how it plays out. It's intriguing. I think that's the thing you have to do. In sports, we see these changes left and right? Baseball, every sport. It's just the way it is. And it's the way life is, too. I think there's a lot of times we're like, oh, this is changing. I hate it. We have to go with it. So I'm intrigued. I want to see how it plays out. Again, some of the things in baseball that have changed, I like. Some I don't. I still hate the extra innings ghost runner rule. I think it's stupid.
Yeah, it stinks.
I didn't think I would like the pitch clock. I'm okay with it. Again, time of games for me doesn't matter. I love sitting at the ballpark. I'd rather be there for 3 hours than 2 hours and 20 minutes. That's me. But the games have gone fast. It kind of does suck, though, man. I'm a night owl, and then I'm used to watching games till 1:30 in the morning, East Coast time. And now a lot of games are done by like 12:20 a.m. I'm like, okay.
Right.
So, I mean, I guess that helps you get more research done for fantasy football. I don't know. But I think you need to be open to these things. So I'm gonna just have an open mind and judge it at the end of the year.
Yeah.
But I think it's cool.
Okay.
These quicker games are letting you get some more sleep.
No, it's not.
You go to sleep a little early.
This guy doesn't sleep. Look at that. He doesn't sleep.
Nah, I don't know what happened, though. Ever since I came back from vacation, I've gone to sleep a little earlier and waking up earlier, and it's scary. I don't like it.
Well, you're dressed like you're about to hit the nightclub tonight.
No, I'm not. Let me see. What am I doing tonight? Oh, another night of no baseball. I want to watch that quarterback show on Netflix. Did you guys watch it yet?
That looks good.
No, NBA Summer League is on.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. I caught a little bit yesterday. But
go check out. James has a free NBA DFS playbook out for tonight, so go get some lineups in.
Okay.
For tonight.
All right, maybe I'll do that then. Thanks, James.
No problem.
All right, Adam, we got to wrap here, but I appreciate you joining here to talk some NBA. It's been awesome having you back on the show. If you haven't already, go follow him on Twitter at Adam Ronis. He's everywhere, TikTok videos too. So definitely check out Adam contributing to Fantasy Alarm, Better Sports Network, everywhere. Thanks, Adam, man.
All right, man. I'll talk to you guys soon.
He's heading to bingo after this.
Yeah, okay.
He's headed out to bingo. He's headed out to bingo.
Talking trash, bro. I'm way. Oh man, you're the guy who's playing bingo. I may be older than you in years, but I think your soul's older. You're married with kids. You're done, bro. You're done. You're cooked.
I know. My soul is definitely old. Definitely. My soul is definitely old.
You're the bingo guy, not me.
Every time Adam comes on, it's about to be a dig either way.
Oh yeah,
at someone or at him.
This is how it goes. Easy on Servo. I like picking on James. It's fun.
It is fun. I enjoy the banter.
Thank you.
And I don't have Fensty here, so someone has to take to the fire.
True. Enjoy bingo.
All right, Adam. Thanks for joining us here.
All right, later, fellas.
All right. Appreciate Adam coming on and Terrell Furman for talking some NBA futures. Tons of good advice if you want to lay some futures odds before some possible line movement once we get some landing spots for Lillard, Harden, etc. So, yeah, awesome stuff there. We got a wrap here, but appreciate everyone joining here. We'll be back tomorrow. We got baseball to talk about tomorrow. Howard Bender will be back with me on this show, 4:00 Eastern. So I know we'll have plenty of picks on there. But James, appreciate you joining me today. Enjoy that summer league DFS action tonight, right?
Let's go.
Nice. All right, yeah. Appreciate everyone watching in, and good luck with all your own sports bets. Hopefully, you get some NBA summer league bets tonight. But if not, come back tomorrow, 4:00 Eastern on the Better Sports Network show here on Better Sports Betting. By the way, right after us here at 6 p.m. Eastern coming up, the Quick Outs Fantasy Football show with Andrew Cooper and John and Pemba, and then the High Stakes Fantasy Football show at 7 p.m. Eastern with Eric Balkman. So definitely tune into those as well. Appreciate everyone tuning in here, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Better Sports Betting on the Better Sports Network.